Hello, hello, hello. It looks like we're about to go live. Poor connection. Why poor connection? I don't think so. Hello. Hopefully you guys are seeing me. Hello, hello, hello. At this very second, my side is saying poor connection, waiting for Matt Granger, but I already hit the live. So, please, folks, firstly, welcome. Secondly, please, once you're seeing and hearing me, leave me a little comment. I hope you've had a great week, all things considered. Seeing me, hearing me? Hello, hello, hello. I will just get into it and wait for any problem comments. Thank you for joining us for what's going to be the first of hopefully a regular thing going forward of Friday night beers and looking at photos together, having a chat as best we can, and in future weeks getting in some co-hosts and guests and that kind of thing. This week our theme is portraits, and there in the comments, mattgranger.com/live is where I'll be putting all the updates for future episodes and giving you info on how to enter future competitions, well, future ones of these. I put it on the website, but I didn't mention it last week. Please, from now on, when you submit your photos, follow the instructions that are over at the mattgranger.com/live page. I spent hours today renaming all of the files so that I would be able to know whose was whose, because so many of them, most of them came through with just the generic camera file name, and then it's impossible for me to marry up whose shot is whose. So thank you for that. And as I said last week, this was just going to be a look at photos and inspiration, that kind of thing, rather than a competition. But great news, we actually got an offer from a good friend of mine who runs MZ, the online learning portal, that recently produced a video series with Philip Bloom. Let me just make sure I've got the page open here. Filmmaking for Photographers. I've watched 85% of it and it's fantastic. We actually went through it before going to shoot our big project in Las Vegas. It's like 7.5 hours long, a couple of $100 worth of retail value, and I do have one of those to give away this week, and we're going to have another one next week. So thank you to them for coming on to give away a copy and to sponsor our little live catch up and chat. I'll tell you about it as we go through the video, but essentially Philip is a professional videographer, filmmaker now. He started in photography, and it's specifically aimed at people like us who are used to thinking about taking single frames, how to make great, moving images and audio. So sequencing, how to do audio, how to work with light for video, all of that kind of stuff. It's really comprehensive. They rented a castle to film the whole thing. It's just fantastic. So you can check that out. There's a link over at the live page as well. I'll also just throw a little link here for you directly into the chat so you can check that out. Now, because I announced this as not necessarily being a comp, it was just going to be a chat, I'm actually going to go through and look at every single one of the portraits that were entered, even the ones that didn't rename the files, even the ones that sent tiny little photos. As long as it's a portrait and it came through in time, I've already downloaded them all, renamed them all, and we have like 100 of them. So even at a minute each, that means we're going to be here for over an hour and a half. So I should get into it, I suppose. Now, quick poll before we get into it. I'm on a Japanese tip tonight, so I brought along Koshikari Echigo beer, which is, Koshikari I think is a type of rice. So is this actually made with rice? No, I don't think so. Maybe that's just the region or something. So that's this guy. And I got good old Orion Premium 3-star draft beer. And something a bit weird. Someone last week asked me about IPA, and I said I'd never tried an IPA that I really liked. But the journey continues. This is Kizakura's first Japanese style IPA, and it's a matcha IPA. So it's actually a green tea beer. So give me your vote which of those I should open. And if we can't come to a consensus, I always have some Nikka coffee grain here as well. So thank you again to everyone who entered shots. I'm going to just jump in. We feel free to have a discussion in the comments section as well. I will try to keep it fairly summary. I will, try to point out what I like about a shot if there's something screaming that I think will be a quick way to improve it. But I can't go in and do 10 minutes of feedback for each image. Everyone's saying IPA, IPA, IPA. Let's do that first. Now, let me bring up my software here. Oh, and by the way, do make sure you check the live page for details. I'll be updating after this what our theme is for next week. And I'm 95% sure Philip Bloom himself will be dialing in from London to help us judge the winner for that one. So join us. So, matcha IPA, let's see. Oh, wow, that is really green. Well, I guess it's matcha. Ho, 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 ho. It's like a witch's potion from a B-grade movie. Wow, that is odd, but I guess full of antioxidants. This is basically a health food. Jay-san, thank you for the super chat. Very, very kind of you. And I'm sorry that I didn't see you voting for the Echiko, otherwise I would have gone for that. So I will go for that next. Very kind of you. Thank you. So let me choose, just check that this is going to work. Hopefully you are now seeing the Lightroom catalog of all the images sent in with a little old me on the bottom corner. Now, as I said, we have almost 100 images. I should just jump into this. Given that I didn't cull them based on they're basically arranged in alphabetical order of the person's name, which I renamed the file names to. And it's totally by coincidence that the first one here, well, it can't be just by file name, so I don't know why this was the first one, but it's a shot of me taken years and years ago, in 2013, this says, my goodness. I haven't lost that much hair, actually, and that jacket still fits, so winning. What can I say? It's me. Thanks for submitting it. It's funny. I think you said it was taken with a lens, baby. That would explain the lack of contrast and the lack of blacks. Obviously a fantastic subject. Not the greatest portrait, though. It would be good to have something in focus and some kind of focal point other than my temple. Let's get into this IPA. It's really not as bad as the green would make you think. It tastes like a good quality white beer, not really an IPA to me, and a lot of matcha. What a surprise. This one from Photorescent, someone saying, is that Stephanie? No, it isn't. To me, the white balance is way off on this though. Now, especially I'm looking forward straight ahead here. I have one of my ISO monitors there. I have the other one here, which I'm doing the stream on. It's fully calibrated, and to me that looks way too cool. So I think that needs improving. I'm surprised by this one. I've seen a lot of your shots entered over time, Photorescent, and this one feels like a bit of a snapshot with a bit of a messy background. Beautiful complexion. I think there's potential there, but this could definitely do with a corrected white balance, if nothing else. This one from Tanya Chandler. Look, at first glance, I thought it was a snapshot. Second glance, it looks like you've actually put up a light and put a bit of effort into this. I don't know what was going on. I don't know exactly what the appeal or the event was that was going on. But for me, I think it would work a lot better. The flowers, for me personally, do nothing. If they're part of the shot that you want, fair enough. I would get her handbag out of there. I would move yourself back, if possible. Use a slightly longer focal length to be able to get in those plants without it taking up too much room, or come in tighter on her to get her nice jewelry and everything like that. Any questions here? Can we give a photo now? Sorry, Mavan. All the shots need to be entered by about 3 p.m. the day of the live stream, so I can download them, get it all ready. I'm doing this all by myself, so I can't be downloading more now. It's going to end up being too long and too messy. Oh, hey, Steph, or Joey, or whoever it is on in Art School Dropouts. Is it you, Steph? Nice to see you. That's what someone meant before about, is it Steph? So this one from Randy Wong. Let's see. Oh, that's a bit too close. Again, the color cast seems a bit off to me, but in this case in the opposite direction. Let's just go 1:1. Focus is bang on. I guess I just don't love the crop. Maybe this, especially this section in the top right-hand corner. I think it's not really adding anything. We could bring it in or show her whole head. Like I said, I have to be summary with this. Sorry guys, I know it's a little bit almost too fast to be of much use, but I'm going to do my best. You guys made the effort of sending this in, so I want to at least get through each one of these. Next week, I would say we'll make it a more manageable number to go through. This one from Peter Jacoby. I really like it. I remember you wrote that this was a candid, not a stage shot. It feels like a beautiful, warm shot. I like the treatment. There's no distractions for me. That's a nice, strong portrait, and I'll give that a pick. I'm just going to pick the ones that I think are quite strong, and then we'll come back a little bit later, and from those I can choose a winner. Okay, this one from Michael Rays. There's a lot of Instagram-y effects going on here that I'm personally not a fan of. The bands of out of focus, the reverse vignette frame, it does look like an iPhone composite of 3 or 4 different effects going on here. Look, he's got a nice, interesting expression. That's a nice aspect. I think as a portrait in like this is probably stronger for my taste than the wider shot. This one from Philip Baker. Well, as someone who's seen a lot of different portrait retouching approaches, the whitening and brightening of the eyes to me is a bit too much. That was the first thing that jumped out at me. The shadows across her eye I think will be more dramatic as a black and white, and then the things right behind her on the wall, I don't know that they really help. They don't kind of give depth. They just are potentially a little distraction. This one from John E. I think that's a cool creative shot. Give that a flag straight off. The framing, I'm not sure about. I think we could do with less of his temple, catch the rest of his chin. But showing the reflection of the piano in the glasses, I don't think I've seen that done, that exact composition type thing before. So nice concept. This one from Lath. This is another one where straight off the bat. So first of all, my critical eye instantly sees the same thing about the eyes, especially on the young kids. My left eye and then the mother's right eye, I'm guessing mother and daughter. I think this was shot in dappled, challenging light, and you've worked it a fair bit to try and get the contrast back, to raise up the shadows, to bring down some of the highlights. Overall, I think you've done a good job. I would tone down the brightening of the girl's eyes though, personally, but otherwise I think it's a really warm, sweet moment. They both seem really happy, and if that was, my wife and daughter, that would definitely be one that I would print out and keep. Let's take a quick look at the comments that are going on here. So I don't know what's going on, but this must be Steph, and it looks like Juan is giving her shit. Good to see. Keep it up, Juan. Good. Now, I should really do that. At some point, I'm going to need to assign some moderators or something, so then I can get when I'm dipping in and out like this, be able to get an idea of what comments I should be replying to. So let me just pick out some names. If anyone here that I just grab as being a moderator doesn't want to do it, then that's fine. Oh, that's cool. So I went to give it to you, Tom, and thanks again for all your help. And it says you're still saved as one, so that's great. So Steph and Juan, I've just added you guys as well. It seems like if you come back, you'll still have those special powers, whatever they are. So I don't need to then get rid of it. Oh, I just realized when I'm live, my positioning of myself is under my subscribe button. That's not the ideal placement, is it? Or maybe it is with this face. I wonder if, can I do that live? Let me just try this. So, transitioning back to full me. Wow, this is so magical, isn't it? I wonder if I can do this in real time and put me there. So just so you know, in the background, I'm playing with OBS right now and adjusting the frame to try and put myself in the opposite camera, on the opposite angle, and potentially get that little logo off my face. So is it Option? Which key will let me crop? Yeah, that one. Okay, and then if I go back, let's see if this has worked. Shazam. I think it did. This one from Pierre Nicholas. Now, it would make sense to have the other toolbar open, but I wanted to have a histogram just so you guys can see what's actually in the file. Okay, so what I kind of like about this shot, there's very few distractions. It is about her. It's kind of a classic, having the contrast of the textured nature, whether it's rocks or bricks or bark or whatever, versus the beautiful soft, skin of the model. But here, because there's such a big contrast, I actually feel like the background does become a distraction. And I think maybe you've done something to try and clean up her skin, but left this weird haloing around the chin. So just be a little bit more careful on that, and around the hair as well. Yeah, I feel like you've just softened it out maybe a little bit too much. Oh, look at Dean Miller's little baby, or Dean Miller's friend's baby. What a beautiful shot. For me, it looks like it's lacking some contrast, and the histogram backs that up. It doesn't really have any highlights or deep shadows. I don't normally like to edit people's shots. Let me just do a very quick thing here that I think might help it pop just a little bit. So if we just bring, my monitor's so high res and it's so far away, it makes it actually difficult in this kind of situation. Just dropping the blacks, and then if we go into our HSL and go on the green, boost the green a little bit, grab the luminance, drop the luminance of the greens. I think that is, so that's before, and that's before and that's after. Super, super quick, and doing it that way you don't get the haloing you would if you try and do it with a brush. So what do you think? And pick, because that's such a cute baby. Okay, Emmanuel Omaheng. Apologies to everyone whose name I am butchering with my limited knowledge of how to pronounce these things. Another one that's really, to me, lacking contrast. Even if it's dark outfit, dark hair, dark skin in a dark room, I think you do want some tonal range. I can just about make out that she's wearing a lovely Yachtmaster watch there by the looks of it. But I still wonder if we just, like super quick and easy, just even like that, I think already lifts the shot significantly. Yeah. Ooh. Danny, self-portrait. It was a ooh, not because you're particularly scary, just because it's so in my face. The clarity on this has been pushed to 11 though. Any This Is Spinal Tap fans out there? I like it. Again, I think with any shot, it's worth looking at what's on the edge of the frame and what is adding to the shot and what isn't adding to the shot. And to me, this big section of forehead isn't adding much, but potentially having the bottom of your chin in would add more. Paul Malinovskis. This is another one where I don't know, I feel like there's too much headroom on it. It's not really adding anything. Sometimes just having your subject a bit bigger in frame can be achieved just by bringing in the crop a little bit. Something like that. Looks a lot like Jordan Drake. Yeah, I can see that. The 1-2 back. Alon. So Alon, full disclosure, is one of my dearest friends. If you saw my cooking the fish video, the Branzino video that I just put live yesterday, that was actually his girlfriend who was the chef recommending me. So this is quite hilarious. So this is in remote Bhutan, a young girl playing amongst all of the prayer flags with some random celebrity on her t-shirt, I guess. Is it a celebrity? She looks vaguely familiar. Sometimes they're t-shirts that get sold in Southeast Asia are just a face on a t-shirt and it still sells. For my taste, this also could do with more contrast. Aha. Now, let me just get my view back to fit. There we go. So quite a really well-crafted image. We can see from the hotspot in the glasses here that it's been lit with a softbox with a honeycomb grid. We've got her away from the background, a couple of gels at least mixing the colors in the background. Beautifully white balanced, great skin tones. Yeah, I mean, it's a very professional, nice looking portrait. Pick. Okay, Mark. Now, there's something about this I really like. I hope you won't be offended. I reckon this could look great as a black and white. Oh, seriously, that's the one downside of super high-res monitors. Everything is so much smaller so the menus and everything kind of stay the same. I could probably adjust that somehow. So let's just do it the old-fashioned way. I would do something like this. I don't want this to turn into Matt's 5-second edits. I'm not meaning to be negative. I'm just thinking this is, for me, a useful way of demonstrating the suggestions that I have. So if it's something that I would suggest you did differently in shooting, that I can just describe to you. If it's something that I think is easily improved in edit, then you could just do it like this. Now, I love this shot. What's the time? Peter Sykes. I hope you're still here. Peter is a New Yorker. I've met him several times. Lovely, lovely man. This is his 90-something-year-old father who lives in an aged care community somewhere upstate, I think. Apparently his tip to longevity is that he still has a drink and a cigar every day, even though he's in the facility. And I can just see Peter in this shot. So this is so lovely. I think everyone, if they have the opportunity, should shoot portraits of their closest family and their closest friends, because you never know, one day you'll wish you had it. It's something that I've done and I can't recommend it enough to everyone. Beautiful shot and pick. Okay, let's just check the comments here. Too much contrast, Matt, go to Thank you, White Lion. I'll play with that a little later. Okay, great. Her American sponsor. I don't really... that's the problem with jumping into the chat. I lose track of what's going on. So I see what you're saying, Mark, but that only makes it bigger that way, not the text and everything bigger. Angel Miguel, This is another one that, to me, the white balance just looks off. It's too blue. I don't know that we'll get it perfectly, but just white balancing on the snow in the background might give us something a bit closer. Too bright. No, not really. I'll give it one more shot. Something along the way. I don't know. There's a lot going on in this. It's basically the fur coat and then the eye makeup. I don't know. I wonder if there's a more striking shot if you just bring it in nice and tight on her and get rid of a lot of it. Not sure. Hubert Parton, I can't say all of that. So it's out of focus, but it's a lovely candid moment. I'm sure it was a fun interaction between you and your subject at the time. Woody, this, I don't know, it looks like a young girl at prayer in a very colorful church. As a portrait though, I mean, if you're trying to display the reverence, the prayer, that's fine. As an actual portrait, kind of nothing is really in focus. The top of her head is, which we can't really see. And without some eye contact or some idea of what she's looking at, she's either entranced or in prayer, but I don't really get a full story here. This one from Gontran, I'm assuming you say it like that. It could be Gontran or Go Nt Ra. This, shut up. This reminds me quite a bit of a Studio Hardcore portrait. Now, first instinct on this is that the crop on the head is a little awkward, but I actually think there'll be more value by bringing it up slightly in front. This is a classy old world image. I don't think showing a whole lot of décolletage does anything for it. And I actually think bringing it in on the collarbones will help us accentuate all of the curves through her chest and everything, plus the curves on her hair by making it that much closer. My 2 cents. Lance Wilkes. Someone's saying Matt got drunk. Why'd you say that? What did I just do wrong? So this also, it's hard to find a point that's in sharp focus. Focus isn't everything. You know, expression, moment, timing, storytelling is more important than all of that. He certainly is an interesting character. You know, shooting men with beards is like fish in a barrel. So many people love to do it. It's so easy. They're often interesting. So it's an interesting choice, but I feel like it's an interesting choice of composition. I feel like he either include his whole hat to give us a sense of who he is, or bring it down so we're just seeing the brim and get the rest of his face. But there's a fair bit of space telling us nothing, and not that much of his face giving us, you know, a lot to absorb. Eric Bowden, I like this shot. The guy seems fun, looks like it was taken at Friday night after work in office drinks or something. Yeah, I don't know. I'll just gut feeling, I like that shot. Flag. William Inbody. You know, that actually reminds me, the woman reminds me of a good friend of mine, Barb, down in Florida. Yeah, that's funny. I like it. It's, again, it looks like nothing's really in focus. What is going on here? I have just started using this computer for Lightroom. For the longest time I had just been doing it, that's why, because I'm on a 4K display and so many of these pictures are lower res than 4K. So again, on the Matt Granger live page, I have details on the res for future. I'm not going to go through and edit every picture, but I do think this with more contrast would be better. Bring her in a little bit bigger on the frame with some cropping. and that would also let you get rid of this hot spot on the top corner. Wow, Johannes. Thanks for submitting. I've seen you around the channel for years. This class portrait, I mean, the separation from the background, it does feel off level. It kind of feels like that's closer to level. Probably even more than that, actually. But let's not get into the editing well. Class, nice separation. I think you could probably bring it in a little at the bottom, keep a little bit of space at the top, or even bring the whole thing in a little bit. And just eating my words and doing exactly what I said I probably shouldn't do. Here we are. It's Friday night. Maybe? What do you think? Beautiful shot. Pick. Milan Medek. It's got a real, like, I don't know, 70s film feeling about it. It feels like a single image from a reporting story rather than a standalone portrait. The keys in the door, I think, is the most interesting aspect of it that tells you something about the scene and what was going on. Yeah, I'm not sure what more I can really say about that one. Oof, look at that. This one from Jess and Joe. I wonder if that is Jess and Joe in the picture. Cool concept. I don't know if it's a single shot or a composite or what, it doesn't really matter, but the couple there looking off into the universe, I think we've all been doing a bit of soul searching over the past week. Really nice shot. Pick. I'm going to do 3 more and then we'll stop and take a look at the comments. So right now, if you have some questions or anything, send them in now because that'll be about the right timing. Casper Cruz, this also is kind of, I think, could do with a bit more contrast. I do like it though. We have a lot of space on the right of frame and we're catching her body on the left. I would either bring the whole thing in a little bit or just recompose it slightly. This one from Vlad. I feel like I look like that all the time for the last 2 weeks, deep in thought and wondering what the hell I should be doing. I like it. I do think this is one where clarity, which is like mid-tone contrast, is actually really going to help a shot like that. Oof. From whoa, I didn't rename that one too well. Cornell something. It looks like it was taken at like a medieval fair or something. I like that you've managed to separate her out so much, but it's still an extremely busy background. And last one just for a second. Well, hello, Dragoy. I mean, it's almost unfair having you submitting shots. You've submitted so many great shots over the last few years. This is another one. Great whole concept and execution. There's really not a whole lot that I can say that's objective criticism. I personally would bring it up slightly from the bottom and shoot from a slightly lower vantage point, but it's a class shot. So let's just jump back over and take a look at your questions that may have been sent in. To my very important moderators, if there are any, please let me know. Chris, thank you. Oh, that's nice to hear. Thank you very much. Questions. Keys in door? Yes, the shot of the woman sitting by the front door, the keys were in the lock. Well, I'm not seeing questions. Maybe we have a bigger lag than I thought. Thank you, Thomas. If you have a question for Matt, please type question in all caps. That will be really, really helpful. Thank you. And guys, I wish there was a way that you can make a super chat to Thomas. He has been the guy helping me through this whole process who basically without him, we wouldn't be able to do these because I don't know what the hell I'm doing and he's been guiding me through all of this. Excuse me whilst I mute and blow my nose. And don't worry, it's not coronavirus, I don't think. It's just a runny nose. When will the new Nikon Z70-200 2.8 be in the shop? Still waiting. I have no idea. I don't work for Nikon. When would you use dehaze over contrast? That's a good question. Contrast is basically your highlights and shadows. Dehaze is trying to pull out points of contrast everywhere. So it's some kind of more sophisticated clarity in my mind. Thank you again for the super chat. It's disappeared now. Oh, I'm sorry to not remember who it was. Can I scroll up and see that? It was showing at the top before and it's disappeared. Ah, there it is. Thank you to Jay-san suggesting to try the Echico unless I have some Macallan. No Macallan in the house, so another time. Now, isn't koshikari a type of rice?
Yeah, maybe.
I wonder why it's called that. Let's just give the green tea a rinse.
Do you like it?
The green tea beer, surprisingly not too bad. I had in Japan actually and Juan Sanchez, it was you. Don't be giving me money. I don't need your money, man. Come on, that's so kind. We had a wasabi beer when I was in Japan, and that was actually really good too. It's not spicy, it was brewed with the roots. So, this is these first two I've not tried before. We had our weekly shopping trip this week, which included the local Japanese grocery shop. So I picked these two up there. So the first one is from Kyoto, the second one from Echigo, I suppose. All right. Juan, thank you so much. You're too sweet, seriously, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. It's really nice to have all of you here, so please don't be shy to ask a question. Just do as Tom suggested and put capitals question at the beginning so I can catch it. For now, let's jump back in and look at the pictures, and I'll jump back out to look at the comments in just a minute. Now, here we go with Calvin Klein, or MC. I saw MC in the room, so I'm just going to call you MC. Hope you're doing well. I like it. It's reasonably simple, but a lot of the best portraits appear simple, but you actually need to kind of get in there and look at it to really see what's going on. So this, I think, has been reasonably carefully lit, or at least had her put into the right kind of a frame. There's no distractions. It's soft, but it has a little bit of drama from the shadows. It's, yeah, I think it's a nice portrait. It is, again, it could be the JPEG compression, but it is, we don't really have anything actually close to blacks in the shot. No, I wouldn't push the highlights. I think it works quite well like that. Nice one. This one from Alan Hale. Hi, Alan. Nice to see you. We've met and traveled together. This is a beautiful shot. I don't know, is this Ethiopia, maybe? It's a shame that the focus is off on this one. I don't want to be like that kind of a technical guy to just focus on that, but for this, the way the eyebrows have been shaved, the great hair, maybe she's a Himba woman. There is so much detail there. Shooting everything wide open is kind of a trap, I think. I appreciate this was probably shot in a tent or something with just window light, so it was, a low light situation. But still, you run the risk of missing it here, catching the beads in sharpest focus. It's a trade-off. I don't know the shooting situation to really say that, but in these situations, I would try not to shoot it wide open and really work hard to get as much of the areas that need textural information in focus. Justice. That sounds like a superhero. Okay, so if this was the the challenge you were setting yourself or the look you were going for was to have the super contrasty light, then I get it. But this is a really challenging lighting situation, having no curtain over the frame. There's just areas of this that are going to blow out. If you're looking to try and keep the blue nail polish and the color of the tattoos, then so be it. But otherwise, in this kind of a situation, if you love everything about the shot, but the light was super challenging, it will probably become less apparent if you go to black and white and bring back some of those shadows. Then the hot spots will become a little bit less apparent, and then we can easily crop out some of the worst of it, which is at the top of frame. Something like that. This one from Roger Manning. Oh, this looks like a future concert pianist headshot. Class shot, well put together. Again, I think you could... So the chair in the background shows that it's a nice house, but I don't think otherwise it really adds anything to the shot. This lamp on the side, I don't know, adds terribly much. And it's actually just to the top of her head and then the bottom of the piano we want. So if we come in like that, she becomes more dominant in the scene and we get rid of some of those distractions in the background. Kendrick. So this is a graduation. Congratulations. I think it's a beautiful shot. Again, you know, just looking at what's adding to the shot and what isn't. I wonder if this kind of a frame, we've got to be careful with that thing overhead. If that kind of a frame, yeah, that's a janky crop, but something more along those lines is a bit more impactful. Pick. Rogelio Gonzalez. Okay, so the edit has been pushed a lot on this one, the skin texture and everything, and the vibrance and saturation, and my goodness, those eyelashes are next level. And the eyeballs also either look like contacts plus ping pong balls. They're so white. Look at that. It looks like a ping pong ball with a swatch of fabric on it. Yeah, well, it's a contact lens, but the contact lens doesn't cover the whole white of the eye. The contact lens just covers the iris. Look, I really love the contrast, the concept. For me, I'm not a fan of the edit, but that's a personal thing, so don't let that bother you. What was that wow for? Now this one for me is almost a conceptual portrait, but I really like it. I reckon if you're going to go for this kind of surreal portrait where things are concealed and whatnot, either I wouldn't have the flowers caught on the edge of frame, or I would make it really... Oh, I didn't crop that. It must have just come in that way. Or really... Oh, what the hell? Did it come in that way? No, fit.
No.
Okay, so it came in that way. Okay, so then I would... You could do it... Okay, so this is now going to become Friday night, Matt chatting with the community and Kate chatting on her computer on the other side of the room, criticizing my critiques and telling me that I'm a bit wrong on this or that perspective. Maybe I need to mic her for next week. Let me know what you think. Oh, hello, Frederick Elker's kitty. And that's not just because it's a cat. That's a class shot. All the tones work together. There's good tonal contrast through the shot. That's a beautiful shot. You'll note a lot of these are low res though. So again, at mattgranger.com/live, you can see what I'm looking for in terms of resolution, what next week's theme is, prizes, how to enter, all of that stuff. So head on over there. I'll try to have that up tonight or over the weekend, so check back in. And I will be having another one of these live chats on like probably Monday, just as a casual Q&A and a reminder to get your images in and pick me up to get into the week. And then it'll be Friday again when we go through the next lot of shots. So let's take a look at the shots we had entered. The questions we have. Richard Wood. How do I use a Sigma 10-20 for a Nikon D3300 due to the lens distortion? You can shoot it extra wide and then use Lightroom or whatever's built-in lens profiles to fix that up a little bit. Actually, the 10-20, no, that is a DX lens, isn't it? The easiest thing or the simplest thing that you can do in any situation is to try and keep your camera level on each axis. That way you're not introducing perspective distortion as well, which is extra significant on a super wide angle lens like that. Blythe. So what do you guys think? Blythe has a good question there. Will the Monday video be at the same time? We have 160 people in the room right now. I'm seeing a lot of similar names, so I appreciate you all coming in. I do also recognize that doing it at 6 p.m. my time means that it's quite late for Europe and it's early morning for Asia, and it's kind of still the work day for LA and that part of the States. What would you guys like? Would you like a little bit longer, a little bit earlier or later? I would probably only do it an hour earlier because 5 p.m.'s early enough for me to be doing something like this, or I could do it a couple of hours later if that was better. So leave your suggestion. Let's jump back into the kitty. No, to who was next? To Philip Livingston. To those who said they've missed their shots, maybe, maybe not. We've still got a lot to get through here. Look, there's a lot to like about this shot. I think it's missing highlights, and I again would actually crop it in. I love the fabric that she has, but I still think you could do a bit more with this. So if we bring our highlights and our whites, and then let's keep the ratio. I don't want to lose too much. There's a woman outside the window chasing her puppy. Something like that. I think maybe just lifts it a little bit. Jean, great to see you entering some shots. Maybe the most loyal YouTube viewer in the whole universe. Gene is such a lovely guy, so thank you for sending in this shot. From memory, so it's your parents' portrait. Again, young or old, take the time and get portraits of your loved ones, especially your immediate family if you're able. The process of shooting it, you'll learn a lot about photography, you'll learn a lot about your family, and it's just a lovely thing to have. I took portraits of all of my family years ago, about a year or two before my grandfather passed, and now that's kind of like a, I don't know what the right word is, but it's not a family heirloom, but all of my cousins really appreciate having that nice portrait of him before he got unwell. So nicely done. Careful with mum's glasses is the only thing, that little flare. And then, I don't know, you got to work on your comedy routine, man, if you're going to get a smile out of them. I would potentially, I think the blue as a background, you got to work with what you have, can work. Stepping back with a longer lens could do it, but otherwise, I don't want to crop your mum off too much here. Oops, definitely not that much. But if we could bring the whole shot in, sorry to crop your watermark off here, off the brown wood, I think that becomes a much cleaner portrait overall. So nice one. Oh, he looks like a little gnome or something. He looks like a gnome who's been kind of carelessly photoshopped though. I like the textured wall, but take a look at what's going on here around the edge. Almost certainly the kid and his toy has been cut out of something else and put onto that background, and it's pretty apparent. So I like the kid. I don't know what scene he was in, but he or she, sorry, but I would probably try to set it up again. Especially, it looks like you've gone for a reasonably complex 3-light portrait on the kid, but then the background was no good. So, yeah, potential. Definitely be potential. Okay, so this is, see that's a 1080 by 1620 image on a huge monitor. Ooh, contacts as well, I guess. That's kind of freaking me out. Yeah, I kind of like it. It kind of freaks me out a little bit. But not every portrait needs to be just a flattering, cute portrait, right? It can be something jarring. So in that regard, job done. Connie Delshagen? Huh, okay. This is disturbing. I don't know exactly what the theme is here. Once I saw the chain, that kind of changes the whole vibe of the shot, no? So I'd be interested to know what the theme and the motif you were going for here was. In terms of the portrait itself, I think if we knew what the context was and this was a part of a series, it will have even more power because it's clearly something that you've crafted and put together carefully. It is free of distractions. It is technically very well put together, and it's just kind of, it concerns me, but I don't exactly know what the story is here. Okay, so come on, zoom out. What are you doing, buddy? Fit. Okay, Chris Gamma. Thanks for submitting, Chris. I like this. It looks kind of like a cosplayer or something with the wig. The only thing would be if I had an idea of what was in her hands, it might give us a bit more context. Wellington Sanchez. Beautiful shot. For me, the skin's a bit overdone in terms of softening. Simple, nice shot. The hands look like a normal, natural kind of grab shot. Not grab shot, like a natural, unposed portrait. Thanks to everyone in the chat. I'll do 3 more shots and then jump back in. So if you got a question, let me know. Anthony Jose. This is the kind of thing that would be in like a London fashion magazine. There's no distractions, great contrast through the scene and between her and her outfit. A harder light which is getting up the shine on her jacket. It's quite a class portrait, nice. There we go, one. Thank you for submitting. This one, was this in Spain earlier in the year? This is beautiful Letty, both who are my friends, so disclosure. It's a beautiful shot. I mean, I'm biased because I know her. Let's see. The only thing would be it's basically about her. We do have the nice brickwork that gives us an idea of where we are. We've got the street and then we've got the old staircase. But 1, it's out of focus, and 2, it's not really leading us to something. So if it's going to be an environmental portrait, I want a better sense of where we are. If it's going to just be a portrait of a beautiful woman, then I would probably bring it in on her and have her, really dominate the frame, something like that. But nice work. And thank you for the beer. John Sheringham. Wow, what the hell are we dealing with here? is it just me or is everything kind of out of proportion? Her hands to wrists to knife to hand to head to shoulders. Everything seems like something out of the Demon Barber of Fleet Street or something. Like a Helena Bonham Carter type character. And for that reason, I quite love it. And for that reason, with that motif, the lack of highlights, I think also kind of works. So very cool. Pick. Okay, so next up will be this shot. And let's transition back and have a look at the comments. Okay, so any little questions here? Looks like a Kelly Robertil ripoff. How about inspired shot or homage or something like that rather than a ripoff? There's no need for that kind of negativity. Any questions here? Not really seeing anything right now. All right, well, Tom, if you see any that I need to be answering, then please let me know. Otherwise, let's just jump back into the pickies. So I don't know, something about that kind of fence reminds me of like being trackside at a race. It looks like two young girls partying at somebody's birthday. One of them's a unicorn, so maybe it's her birthday, or maybe they're both just in dress up. Is that a dust spot or is that an aeroplane in the background? Either way. So it's cool, I reckon, if you got down a little lower as the sun set even more and you get more of a wraparound of that setting sunlight, you could get more of this beautiful warm light that you've got going on the rider frame here and really have them, enveloped in it. But as it is, it was, a nice moment between the two of them playing, so I get it, it's not the kind of situation where you're going to do a full setup thing. Chris Leonardo. I recognize these people. So Chris again is a friend of mine and of course lovely to see your muse. You might recognize her from the Helios video that I did a while back. Let's take a little look here. Well, so there's a lot going on here. So I'm gonna guess this was taken on your Hasselblad because it's got the hexagonal bokeh. So it's what have you done here? It looks like you're using flash and then what you've added zoom or movement into the shot as well to get that second halo going on there. I think there's some interesting stuff to be had in all of that, but I think maybe it's either dehaze or contrast. Dehaze or clarity, I think, has been pushed a bit too much because knowing her beautiful complexion, although you had her out in the cold, I think it's probably been pushed a bit too far. I know that can be a technique for getting up the contrast and saturation, but if you actually go in and use the HSL sliders on the pinpoints of the color you want, or mask her out and just do those areas to a greater extent, you'll still get that color pop without, making her skin look kind of pitted. Joshua Jones. I think maybe, the background's blown out, but what can you do with that? I would probably drop the luminance on the greens as a start. And then if it's going to be a portrait on her, I would bring it in. If it's meant to be like an Instagram fashion type portrait, then I would bring it out a little bit to get her handbag in. Naj Saka portrait. So I feel like they're, again, this is, to me, feels like one that's part of a story rather than just a standalone image. If we had the kid in the background, I feel like there's a great interplay between them. Strong eye contact, but I think the main thing that's working here is it's a really nice edit. Nice one. Dustin Newkirk, this is beautifully, well, at first my first instinct was nice candid shot, which explains the mailbox in the background and the central composition. Sometimes central compositions are great, but often they can be kind of a little flat. So if we bring her slightly to one side, might lift it a little. But then when I see either she's just fabulous or this was actually a special day set up, she's matched her eye makeup to her jacket. You do have a great contrast between her and the background. I think there's some great potential there, so nice one. Okay, this one from Cameron, aka Chuck Zero. Okay, so this looks like it's in like a gambling hall or something. This is another one where I just feel like there's so much headroom. If this character in the background isn't important, I don't know what this is. It looks like a rack server in a, Amazon data house. Then I would rather see her hand than all of that stuff above her. And if not, then let's go in tight and see what's actually on her cup, because it's basically about her and the cup, and we know what's going on in the scene just by the one machine to her left. How are we going to do this? I guess keep the awkward crop on her hand, but that kind of gives us all of the same information, but in more detail than the wider shot does. Vendada Singh, I'm guessing this is at the Holi Festival. Yeah, I mean, it's a hectic background, but in this situation, unlike the earlier one of the fair, I think this kind of festival is always hectic. So this, yeah, it really speaks to it. It's not over-edited as an actual representation of the day. I really like that as a shot. So Blythe is asking, is it only me, Matt? Are you out of focus and so are the photos? I don't think so. Can you guys let me know as a comment? Do I look out of focus? Do the photos look out of focus? It could be to do with your internet connection. Okay, Nuno. That looks like one happy, healthy cow. Actually, it looks like 4.5 happy, healthy cows. It's a cute shot. The colors look like a Windows desktop. I reckon there's a great shot here, if you're not going to be risking life and limb to do it, to lay on the ground with a super wide angle lens, get the cow and the sky behind you make it look super majestic and get rid of a whole lot of that clutter. But as it is, that's a cute looking cow. 2 more pictures and then I'll jump back into the questions. So if you have questions or if there's ones that I've missed, any of the folks who are there, please repeat them for me. Simon Giddings' portrait of Anya. Yeah, I mean, it's got a nice overall mood. The leather jacket looks way too cool that I could ever try and pull it off even at 40, let alone at her young age. I think it goes with the motif. If you were trying to get it correctly exposed, then yes, I would bring up the highlights. But overall, for this kind of the vibe of the shot, I think it's a really nice one. So, good shot. Will Gavlin, likewise. See, for me, I actually prefer this with some real skin texture in there, not overdone. You've definitely done some things, but it's not like just a Barbie doll of, textureless skin. Yeah, I like this. Again, I feel like if you're going to crop the head off, don't just crop the head off, like make it intentional. So either get the head, or if you're going to crop it, then at least make it look like you probably meant to because it's in nice and tight, that kind of a thing. As I keep going, I see a question from Photo Resin asking, have I tried Voigtlander lenses? Yep, check the YouTube channel. I have talked about them. Idamar Tef. So, I just have to see if how this pops if we bring back some blacks in the shot. So I like it. I like the haze and all of that in the background, and the poppies are gorgeous. I don't really get what's going on though, like why is she in a sports bra or in jeans in the middle of a field. I think maybe workshopping her pose a little bit to turn her shoulders slightly to camera. It's like it's a beautiful woman, nice jeans, gorgeous field with a rose, gorgeous light. It's got all the elements, but it doesn't quite feel like it's all come together on this one. Last one, and then I'll jump into the questions. AJ Brown. I mean, this is almost an Afghan girl style portrait. Nice and tight, nice color contrast between her headscarf. This has got more dramatic lighting, no distractions, you know, as this kind of a studio look, black background portrait. I think it's a nice one. Well done, AJ. Pick. And actually the last one is worth a pick just because. Let's jump back and take a look at questions and at Orion. Orion Draft Beer's Clear and Mild taste is widely loved as an Okinawan original. Oh, perfect. So we've gone from Echigo down to Kyoto, all the way down to Okinawa, which is the Hawaii of Japan. And I've never been, and I'm dying to go. Once this, apocalypse ends, Kate, let's go to Okinawa. Mm-hmm. Isn't Ryoko's father from there?
He has a farm there.
Perfect. I'm going to go live on a farm in Okinawa and drink Orion with Ryoko's father. Perfect. Questions?
No internet.
There's no internet there? Okay, so I'm going to do a day trip to her father's place and go back to the city. I have a 50mm lens and a kit lens. I want to upgrade. What would you think I should get? I won't even read all of that now. What I recommend when you're going to try and buy or add extra equipment or upgrade is take a look at what you have and what's missing. Do you need something faster? You need something longer? And if you're, for example, you own some zooms and you want to buy a prime, go into your editing software, sort by what focal length was used, and see what you tend to shoot at, and in which situations having a fast aperture would be helpful to you. It's no use me sitting here in Brooklyn saying you should buy an 85mm when I don't know at all how you shoot, what kind of portraits you shoot, indoors, outdoors, environmental, headshots, studio shots. It's kind of pointless, and I don't want to waste your time. One more here. Fever Stock, what do you think of the Tamron 70-180 coming out? I think it looks really promising. I got hands-on with it in Vegas before the world shut down. And it's small, it's light, the image quality seems good. I did a first little hands-on with it at the show. I hope I can get it in again to do something more detailed for you guys. If the price is right, then it could be a no-brainer because they're killing it with their latest G2 stuff. Let's jump back into the pictures. So this one from Tony Lurs. Now, am I on the right thing here? I think I am. That should be right. Again, for me, I don't dig on how the skin edit has been done on this. I think there's enough contrast between all of the great texture in the fabrics and her skin anyway. But I do like the overall crop on this one, and the exposure's really good. So nice one, Tony. You know, often it's as you have a few drinks, they say you should start with the best one and then move to the cheaper stuff because you stop noticing anyway. But I have to say, I think the Orion is my least favorite. I would say the Echigo, then the Matcha IPA, then the Orion out of these three. Gus, now from memory, this was a self-portrait because you're in, you know, social distancing like everyone else. So for that reason, thank you for getting out and doing this. It's something that I find a lot of guys are shy to do, let alone willing to share. So good on you for going out, setting up a shot, taking the time, expanding your skill set, and then sharing it with us. That's good of you. Looking at the light balance, so in my natural light course, let me just shamelessly throw a plug in here because what the hell, we still need to eat. Oh, and as I pull up this page, I see that someone has ordered a Thai dinner for us on Seamless. Excellent. In my natural light course, one of the things we run through with Steph and the models in Vegas was how to look at a scene without modifying it to find different backgrounds, different poses, and which direction you should be shooting to get the most flattering result. So here you've kind of put the light mostly behind you to get rid of a lot of the shadows. You've then probably, let's see, have you actually added a little bit of light here? Yeah, looks like you have. To try and fill those in a little bit, which is difficult. But here with a kind of a busy background, you might want to consider just letting the background exposure blow out to bring you up on that kind of a shot. But nicely done, and well done. I appreciate you taking that and sharing it with us. Gary T. Martin. Now, if I'm not mistaken, you purchased the Implied series and have tagged me on some stuff on Instagram because I recognize your partner or friend here. Overall, it's a really nicely put together shot. I feel like the color in the background is nicely balanced. The edit isn't over the top. Yes, it's kind of a real hot spot across her side here, but that's often the way. Skin that gets less sunlight is the brightest. So if everything is kind of evenly lit, the whiter the skin, the brighter it's going to be. The pose is okay. We're all adults here, I assume. The reality for shooting any portrait is that you need to work with your individual subject. So here, I don't know what options. I haven't shot with too many models with her exact physique. So I think for her, this pose works well. For some people, it would probably seem a little bit uncomfortable. But here, given that she has very large breasts, where else is she going to put her hands that doesn't feel awkward or that you're cropping things off? So for me, I feel like you have done quite a class job on this. And overall, it's beautiful. You've got a great light on her face. You could consider bringing it up just slightly from the bottom just to bring it up to the bottom of her arm. Like this. But, you know, I think that's a really nice shot. And the color contrast of the green, her skin tones, and then the yellow dress, it works nicely. Chris Houghton. Wow. So there we go. We've got the kind of comments that I would probably expect in the chat, unfortunately. So Chris, I don't know if this is a self-portrait or a portrait of your friend. It kind of senpai, the anime t-shirt, the computer, multiple screens in the background, the gamer chair. It looks like someone at the start or end of a 48-hour gaming marathon. It's got a kind, with the hair and the eye contact, kind of a mad look about it. I wonder if we just bring some of the blacks back. No, overall it's okay. I would probably bring the overall exposure down just a little. That's not the exposure slider. Come on, Matt, you can do this. I think I need to, once all of this is over, go and get my prescription updated. I'm just not sure about the positioning of his hand there. Adam Anderson. He reminds me of, I was going to say a Jovial, but so is the original, Jack Black, for some reason. I like it. I think this one, conversely, could do with a little boost in exposure. And what's going on now? My fantastic. I think my touchpad just lost connection. There we go. Just a little bit like that. It's nice. It's actually funny. The last one as well, it was his wrist and watch kind of jarring on the edge of frame, and here even more so. But we've gone from a nice slim wristwatch to, it looks like an Apple Watch. So there you go. Thank you for sharing, Adam. So I wonder how this is sorting the images, because that's Adam Anderson and then this is Remo Fortunato. So I don't know how it's actually organized these. So this is another one, which was the one before, the abstract one of the woman holding the flowers over her face, where I feel like it's off center, it's kind of unbalanced because you've got this space, it looks like a coat rack and then a bookshelf and then a void, but quite a classily lit shot that I actually wonder if making it more off balance, come on Maddie, you can do this, if making it more off balance is actually the answer to put him right on one side so that it kind of feels extremely intentional rather than maybe accidental. Then maybe just bringing up our highlights a little, something like that. Yeah, nice one, Remo. Joshua DC. This is a real old world portrait that looks like we're watching some reruns of Peaky Blinders at the moment, and her jewelry kind of reminds me of like a Russian aristocrat's jewelry. That's got an old world beauty type look, slightly soft focus. The two light portrait setup, it looks like. You know, it sometimes it's hard to tell. You have to go in and say, it may not be exactly my taste, but if you and your subject went in with a theme of creating this style of portrait, if you were going in for this style of portrait, then you've nailed it. If you were going to do something modern, then it would be a different kind of critique. So vaguely under the umbrella of portraits, nice one. Vukasin Jelenkovic. Okay, so I feel like there is a theme here that we're not seeing because of the terrible exposure. Looks like loads of toilet paper in the background and bottled water, gloves and a mask. So this is a shot of our time, and maybe this is hand sanitizer. His mask already seems overexposed, but as we bring up the exposure, hopefully there's enough detail in this JPEG. Okay, so you can see what's going on there. I don't know that it's strong enough. You know, I don't know how you would even edit this. I think you needed to light it better. You're under a real hot spot here. I think it has real potential to explore this kind of a theme, but it's just such a complicated scene. I'm not really, it's kind of hard to pull out the story there. Two more shots and then I will jump back to the questions. So if you have one, please hit me up. So Chris O'Brien, having worked with these kind of balls of bokeh in the background quite a lot, it is really difficult to get the placement. They are also extremely easy to copy and paste and move some to another area. We can I never do it in Lightroom, but we can probably just do it here. Bring our brush size up. And Oh, so it's bringing in a weird color cast, but you know, for example, you can do something like this if you wanted to take the time to fill in some of that space. Otherwise, we again thinking about where is there interest, where is there something adding to the story and where isn't there. We have quite a lot of space above her and to the right, but her parasol is close to the left and cut off at the bottom. So if it's going to be cut off again, I would probably bring it in just that little bit closer so it feels intentional. So we're locked at perspective there. Maybe something more like that. So it feels really like it was all intentional to have it be so tight. Dave Curtis, my histogram says that isn't peaking, but it could be just because of the JPEG. It does feel like it's a bit overexposed on the face, and it's a low-res JPEG. There you go. So it's, come on, I hate these trackpads. I think I'm gonna have to get a proper mouse. Yeah, I don't know. It's working. I think it's as a headshot for a lot of applications like LinkedIn, that kind of thing, it would be fine. I don't know that the dark jacket and the black background really is working too great here, but I do like the glow on his face. Oof. Oh, actually, I said I would switch back, so we'll circle back to that one. Let me find my switching software and transition back. Questions. Okay, not really seeing questions, just a lot of interaction, which is good to see. So here we go. Roger, why are you using Lightroom instead of your usual Capture One? So I use lots of different software. This one I just wanted a really simple layout. I wasn't intending to do so many crops and edits on these. I was mainly just planning to show the histogram. And with Lightroom being, I have the CC as part of the Adobe package, it means that I can have any number of computers, right? And with our blazing fast internet, if I get something new in, it makes it a lot easier if I want to test this new laptop to just download the software, deactivate my laptop, activate it on there and go. Whereas it's a bit more cumbersome for Capture One. So for this one, having it just here and ready to go, I just went with it. No real reason. Excuse me. Oh. Any other questions? Mavan, question. Do you have news that Nikon cancelled the D6 camera and go for a new ZZ top mirrorless now the Olympics is delayed? No, I haven't seen that. I saw Jared Poland did a video on April 1st with something like that as a headline, and I just assumed it was an April Fool's. I can't comment on it. I haven't seen the video. I haven't seen the news. I doubt it. I doubt it. We do have a Nikon ambassador in the room. Maybe they can share something if that's true or not. But I have no idea. David Abs, show us your shoes. What shoes have you got on? I haven't left the house in 2 days, so I'm not wearing any shoes. Someone mentioning that portrait earlier had Peter Hurley style lighting in the eyes. I was thinking the same. Let's jump back in and take a look at a few more. Please do still send in your questions that you have though. Okay, so Robert Popper. Okay, so yeah, again, for me it's a bit much that the camera right eye has been edited so bright and the left one is completely missing. I would probably not add that extra luminance to her eye. And whilst I love the feathers and everything, unless you needed this top section of the image for, to put text, if it's a magazine cover or something like that, if it's just as a standalone image, I would probably bring it down to be this kind of a crop. And I think it's a great shot. Pick. Dagnus Baltons. Yeah, I can see that. So I expected we would get a few shots related to the virus. I think this one works better than the last. It's the Bring Out Your Dead outfit, garlic across the sign. Looks like you've done a fair bit to try and bring the exposure up on the mask. It's an interesting character, an interesting costume. I don't think it's a particularly strong shot though. Andy Pritchard. That's a pretty shot. Again, I would say, as a rule for any shot, when you're looking at it, thinking about your composition, better if you're doing it at the time, is to think, scan your eye around the edge of the frame, see what's included, what isn't, and what is going to add and what isn't. So here, I get it. For the longest time, a lot of the best focus points were right in the center of the frame, but I don't think having the eye almost central in the frame really works here. And I don't think having this much of forearms is worth losing her beautifully done hair. So this is what we have to work with. I would probably just bring in a bit from the bottom left to at least bring it in on her. But if I could get a time machine and go back, I would try and keep the hair in the shot at the expense of the arms. What did I say earlier about shots of people with beards? They're just interesting. Is it possible to make a little bit more noise? Just a little bit. Okay, so this is a cool character, a cool outfit. Looks like he's in an old, it looks like a sweet shop actually. I was going to say it looked like he was in a medicine shop or something. I do think this needs a bit more contrast. But yeah, it's a cool shot. Again, I don't know that it needs to be fully wide open like this. Maybe stopping down just a little bit so we get a little bit more of a sense of what's behind him. Because, I only recognize that I think it's candy because I have a sweet tooth. Lewis Moore. Now, I recall from his submission that this is part of an ongoing series he's doing about war heroes and people who've made sacrifices, so that has extra meaning. Looking at the shot, I don't know why it's in such a wide aspect ratio. Maybe that's for how it was going to be used in layout. I have a feeling that his having one glove on and one glove off is telling us something about the man's sacrifice. And likewise, the pin on him, this is certainly one, like the other ones I mentioned earlier, that seeing the shot as part of a broader series, I think, is going to give it more context and a greater depth of meaning. But even as it is, as a single shot, I would want to crop it. As part of a series, I would really like to see the whole series, so let us know, Lewis. Okay, let's do, actually, how are we going in terms of the overall flow of the thing? Oh, we're doing pretty well. We're getting there. So I'll do 3 more and then we'll jump back for questions again. So if you have any, please let me know. I'm also totally happy for you guys to just have a chat amongst yourselves. This looks like a nice grab shot. Smoke is interesting. Cool looking guy, but not a whole lot going on. Again, this is one where I feel like it was composed based on where the best focus points were to get the focus nice and quickly, but that would actually work better as a different aspect ratio. And I don't know that there's actually a whole lot of interest there. If it's someone who's special in your life, this is your cousin, your brother, your father, then that has special meaning. Try and get them to stop smoking. But, you know, as it feels like a very well-focused grab shot. So I'm going to give this a pick just because it's nice to see people breaking the rule, well, not the rules, but the trends a little bit. So often I would expect this shot, this gaze, this kind of light to be used on a beautiful young woman rather than a beautiful young man. So I think it works nicely. Just being a total hypocrite, I actually think here bringing the overall exposure down a little would work, and I feel like maybe the skin tones are a little bit muddy on this one as well. But yeah, nice one, Ian Knight. Thanks for submitting. Pick. Chris Harrison. Wow. So no point in talking about white balance here. You've got a whole theme going on here with the lipstick, the ear thing, the eye makeup, the hair, the light on her neck. It looks like you've gone for color contrast with the blue in the background. Super tight, dramatic. She grabs your full attention with the eyes. Really, really nice shot. Joseph, I can't pronounce your surname, but Joseph O, thank you for submitting. I reckon, again, just applying that standard of scanning your eye around the edge of the frame, if we just were to do that, we could, just make sure I don't crop off her hair or her hand, just to get rid of that post that was sitting on the edge of frame. Here, the midday sun is not doing you any favors. It's really difficult to not blow out her hair on a shot like this, which means getting a smooth transition of exposure through the shot really difficult. Cool outfit, cool concept you're going for here. I would just say go back at different times of day and try and get it in different kinds of light. Wow, this will be our last one, then I'll jump back into the questions. Elliot Franco. So, you're scaring me, buddy. So if we compare this to the earlier one of the person in the face mask with the toilet rolls and the hand sanitizer and whatnot, this is so much more effective. You instantly know what the thing is. The eyes kind of reminds me of like a Hitchcock / Dwayne Johnson, The Rock thing. It scares the shit out of me, and I think that's really effective, so pick. And let's jump back out and see if we have any questions. Oh, I just saw you Aussies are so blunt. Ouch. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. I thought I was being gentle. I don't know what that was in relation to. Questions. Stalker, have you found the best seafood? Well, I can tell you the best seafood I've had so far. Let's see. For those of you who don't know, I have a second YouTube channel called World's Best Seafood. I love seafood, and so it was a no-brainer. I'm traveling so much. I would say 2 meals out of all the meals I've had, no, 3 meals stand out among all of the seafood meals I've had. One is just an obvious choice, Noma in Copenhagen. It's rated as one of the best restaurants in the world. They have a seafood season of 2 or 3 months. I got to go January last year, and it was incredible. So worth it. Amazed. Did a video on it. Another one, I think I was eating alone. It was at a very casual restaurant on a small island off Hong Kong that you take a local boat to, and they did set tao yu. Is that saying it correctly? Set tao yu? Set tao yu, which is stonefish. They're the ugliest fish ever. They normally do it as a soup, but my wife's good friend Bowie suggested having it stir-fried with like red and green peppers and onion, and it was amazing, maybe the most delicious fish dish I've ever had. And then a couple of sushi bars that I've been in Tokyo can round out number 3. See, look how rich of an answer you get when you ask about seafood. Have I ever been to French Polynesia, Tahiti? I've only been to the Tahitian airport, sadly. I would love to go. Question, how do you store your most prized digital images and how do you store your most prized prints? I have prints in books. I do have prints on archival paper hanging and matted and framed back in Australia as well. And digitals, I have pretty much all of my digitals backed up very securely onto NAS, RAID, and cloud. So I think we only have a few more shots, so let's jump back into the pictures. Scary Elliot. And reminder for those of you who are just, oh, that's not what I was trying to do. For those of you who are just joining us, we do have a great sponsor on for this competition. I'm going to be giving a copy of the Filmmaking for Photographers course from MZ presented by Philip Bloom. It's an amazing course, the best that I've seen on this topic ever. So I'll be choosing one of the photos of these 100 out. And we are doing it all again next week, so make sure you check mattgranger.com/live to see the details for that comp. And Philip himself is almost certainly going to be joining us for that live chat as well. Oof Soda. So I like pretty much everything about this. The soft focus on the hand is fine. I would again personally go for a bit more contrast, but for this shot, I feel like the lack of extreme contrast works fine as well. Nice one. Aaron Collins. I like the spelling of your name. I have an Aaron chair. There's a lot going on right here. I like her contrast of her really pale skin, the red dress, the dark background. Whatever the gold is in the background has kind of a Versace palace kind of thing going on. It's a bit busy though. I wonder if bringing her away from that, whatever the main background is, and using again a longer lens to put the attention on her. It could just be because it's a low res file, but it doesn't pop. So for the future ones, it'll be great if you guys can submit photos at a kind of 4K resolution or above. David Freeland. I don't know the background on this one. How's our resolution now? It's still too low for me to meaningfully zoom in on. Yeah, unfortunately, I can't really tell much about it. It's you know, that's kind of the thing about portraits, that if it's of someone, think of it, so this isn't aimed at you, David. When you see your friends who are great cooks sharing their food photos, and I'm guilty of this, I'm doing this right now every single day on Instagram, the food photos are generally often don't even look like something you would want to eat. It's just they were there, they put in the blood, sweat and tears, they made the dish, they knew it was delicious and they shared it. Likewise with portraits, if it's someone who's important to you, I don't even care what you think of a photo I take of my parents or my family or my wife, because it has special meaning to me. But if you're submitting it, then I need to give just the same kind of feedback, right? I think it's a nice candid shot of a guy doing yard work. It looks kind of pixelated, and I do like his position in the frame. He's nicely separated out from the background. I'd really like to see it as a high-res file to really see what we've got going on there. Let's go back to fit. Okay, so this is another one. Just look at how many shots have the face directly in the center of frame. And what is the top third of this image giving us? What's the information we're getting from all of that? I would say not much. So just keep in mind, I know some people say you shouldn't crop your shots. I personally think that's, the Australian in me wants to say I think it's horse shit. But if you want to limit yourself, you want to give yourself a little challenge, you want to develop that way, then so be it. Same with any personal challenge you want to give yourself. But if you're shooting for a publication, your shots are going to get cropped, and not every shot gets shared at 6:4. So I don't think there's any reason to keep them in that aspect ratio, especially when you're just including a whole bunch of empty space in the frame. I think at a 4:5, this is a much more interesting photo. My 2 cents. Christ Agopian. Whew. That's quite something. David, I saved his pronunciation suggestion. Putzi. That's a gorgeous shot. Pick. Good work. How many more do we have left? Jonathan Desmond, you're next. We have 1. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 more, and then that will leave us 6. And so after 4, I'll come back for questions. Interesting one. It's a super high-res file. The framing for me is a little jarring. I would maybe I'm on a 4:5 kick, but I would probably go for 4:5 and try and get a bit wider on her. I feel like her face is kind of small in the frame, and it's the main thing that I want to see in a shot like this. Yes, the bars of the chair are interesting though. I see the chat is asking about where to send pictures. Please go to the mattgranger.com/live page and see the info there, because we're refining this process. So the directions on what I need you to send, how to send it, and everything are going to be listed there. Please don't just send me any old picture to an email address. It literally took me hours today to go through and rename all of these files, but I can't do that every Friday. So please check that page and see what I've asked you to do there. Manuel Estacio. So there's a lot going on here that works really, really well. Shooting in dappled light, whether it's a cookie or just from a window or from overhead trees, that kind of thing, it's a challenge. For me, I don't think the positioning of the light and shadow on her face quite works here. I do like the drama it's creating, but I would rather see basically all of the light pattern shift half an inch to the right, and then I think it would really lift the overall image. But yeah, nice shot. Again, just be aware of the cropping on it. Ernest Schosso. Okay. So this looks like a woman who's been body painted, who has plastic or something flying in the wind. So getting the plastic in just the right position to give modesty and to show what you want and not to show what you don't want, I think it's difficult, and it's partly skill and it's also partly luck, we have to admit. I still think the crop could be, there's a lot in the shot that we don't need to see that isn't adding anything. But still, for a shot like this, I feel like 90% of what's making the shot work is how amazing your body painter was, rather than the shot itself. Despite the fact that it was difficult for you to capture, I think it comes down essentially to how great the body painter was. So I hope that they're getting some credit for this as well. Let's do one more. William Rigby. Great shot. No distractions. Sometimes it's nice to include a light source in your shot, even if it's not the light source being used. It makes the shot kind of make sense at some level, where at a first glance to people when they're looking at it. As a photographer, you start to look at it and think, wait, no, that doesn't quite add up. But I like it. Here, the depth of field I think is just right in terms of the amount of detail and blur we're getting in the background. I think it's a really nicely done portrait, and it doesn't look like a 1920 by 1080 shot. That's really held up well on this high-res display pic. Let's take a look back at our chat. Let's have a look. I'm from Melbourne, living in NYC. Have you found decent coffee yet? Well, I don't know that I've been to any city, and this is as much of a comment on my world travels as anything, that has as universally high quality coffee as Melbourne does. So I don't know if it's up to your standard, but yeah, there are some really good spots around. Just depends on your taste. Here in Williamsburg, there's quite a few that I think are quite good. Some feedback on my feedback. That's good to hear. So I don't see too many questions. So I'm going to jump back in, look at the last of the pictures, and you send me the last of your questions, and then we'll choose out our winner. Okay. Thady Tra, super low res image, but from memory this was also shot on Ilford film, even though it looks like it could be from the 70s. Apparently it's a recent shot. It's an extremely long shot. Maybe there was some distraction on the right of frame. I wonder if we have this great natural frame on her. I wonder if... Boot. I don't know that that's better, but maybe it is. I'm not really sure. Sometimes when I shoot film or anything that has that kind of, like same when I'm shooting a Leica, the joy of shooting it, the chance moments, the feeling you had from walking around for the day to get the shots, that's still in you as the photographer when you're looking at the shots. But as viewers, we don't see any of that. I just see a woman trying to do her best to clean the window. And it looks like it's from the 70s, but that's because of the film aesthetic. I think it's a fine portrait, but unless it was like a documentary about this small town in Ireland, I think you said this was from Ireland, yeah, that's kind of, I don't know that it's strong enough to stand as an individual portrait. Brad Norling, nice one. I have to apologize. Brad is another New York friend. Not apologizing for that. Oh, he's not a New York friend, but we met in New York originally. But I didn't read your description about who these people are or where you took the shot. I do like it. It's a nice, nice couple moment. Little in the way of distractions, great focus, good transition in the background. His white hat hasn't been blown out, shooting with darker skin tones, and a white shirt and a white hat, when you're lighting it can be a challenge. Yeah, it's a nice sweet shot. Yulia Makrov, that's a difficult one for me. So again, guys and beards, right? I think I'm going to have to grow this out. I think I'm going to get so much more interesting. So I like it. You'll note what's reflected in his glasses is in sharp focus, but his face isn't. So at first I just thought it's out. It's a funny thing with shooting reflections. You actually need to add up the focus distance through the glasses back to the subject, which means it's very easy to get reflected things in focus but having the subject themselves out. And when the reflected subject is so small in the frame, honestly, I don't think it really works. That's a little picture. Now, Anders Joberg, I did actually write back saying, is it possible to send a higher res one, because a 489 by 489 25 kilobyte file is really not good enough for sharing in this kind of video. which is a shame because I feel like this shot has a lot of power and intensity and drama, but it's really hard for me to pull that out. I can't tell if this is facial hair or tattoos or what is going on. Kevin Anderson, sorry, geez, it's not that difficult a name. Again, this is not going to be a 4x5, but I would probably put something like that. It feels like a grab shot, but it does feel sincere. It feels connected. It feels like it, really brings me into the shot. I like it. Frank Sorga. What is it about freckles? I really like that. I do think a nice little boost in exposure is going to help though. I don't know. There's a lot about this that I like, but there's something about it that doesn't quite feel like it's working. It's I don't know, is it too closed in? What if we bring the top in a little? What do you guys think on this one? Something like that. It's a nice effort though, good one. Okay, so jumping back out to our library, let's filter for, how do I filter for pics? Flagged. Okay, so that brings us back to that many. So 6, 18, 20. Ugh, I didn't color it nearly enough, did I? I got it down to 20 from 100. All right, I'm going to think about that. If you have questions, let me just jump back to the questions. I will do 2 questions and then choose the winner and then come back for a few last questions. Do you prefer Zoom or Prime? I don't have a single answer for that. I have some Primes I love, I have some Zooms I love. It really comes down to what I'm shooting. But I think the idea that Zooms are lazy is total nonsense. And these days it's just not true that Zooms are technically inferior to Primes as a blanket statement. Connie, when will your travels take you to Sweden? I've been wanting to come to Sweden for so long, I don't have a good reason why I haven't. So hopefully 2021 once everything clears up. Roger Manning didn't make the pick cut, oh well. No hard feelings, buddy. Let's see. Feverstock, Sony has a good 85-1.8 for portraits. I don't know if that's a question or a comment. Woody Mallory, did I miss what next week's theme will be? I pretty much have it in mind. I just want to confirm that it's going to work, especially if I'm having Philip in to co-judge it. So please head on over to mattgranger.com/live and I'll have it confirmed there with what I need you to send either tonight or tomorrow, and I'll update it on Instagram so you can check in there as well. Okay, so what is my most used lens? I will have to check that. I don't know exactly right now. It's probably still a 24-70. So, do you guys recall? Let me go back to Lightroom. Let's. Just so you know, don't be offended. I'm asking for interaction, but I'm still going to choose. But let me know. Is there a shot amongst these these picks that you think is particularly great? Which is your favorite out of these? Leave it as a comment, or are there others in the show that you really, really loved? Share your thoughts with those who may be watching as well. There's some really nice shots here. And it's always difficult in this kind of scenario, it's portraits is such a broad topic. Oh, this is difficult. So I won't choose this one because it's my friend's shot. I won't choose this one because it's a cat and that's just too obvious. Do you have a favorite, Kate? I think I'm going to end up having to choose 3 because I just can't. Ugh, God, is it actually going to be 4? This is really difficult, and this is live, so sorry, this is how long it takes me. When I was doing Tog Life, I would often and hour and then just sit here for 5 minutes and cut all of that out in the edit. You know what? I am going to do that. So our grand prize is the Filmmaking for Photographers course by MZ and Philip Bloom, who have sponsored this video. Check it out. It's genuinely a phenomenal course. So that's going to be our #1 winner, but I'm going to give some of my own lower price downloads as bonuses. And I am going to give one to the kitty shot, not because it's a cat, because I genuinely think that's a fantastic shot, although if I were being as critical, I probably would have cropped that as well, to Frederick Galka. So nicely done. I'll be in touch. So that'll be, my downloads will be things like my Getting Started with Models guide, of Camera Flash Express guide, or my ebooks. I think, It's really difficult. There's still 5, 6, 7, goodness, 8 that I think are close. Sorry?
But it's too sensitive.
I'm sorry guys, this is terrible live video. I'm going to give an honorable mention to this one, even though I can't give it as a prize because he's a friend, Peter Sykes. I think that's a beautiful portrait of your father. You should be proud, and I wish him well. Okay, so as these are, the next ones are all honorable mentions that I will give one of those of my downloads that I mentioned. So this guy, it terrifies me, Elliot Franco, nice one. This one from Jess and Joe, nice one, really creative. I think Johannes has probably won everything that I've given away before in the past. Beautiful shot. Oh gosh damn, there's 3 that I just can't separate. Let me think. Oh, it's difficult. All right, I'm going to give another honorable mention and lower prize to Eric Bowden. And then I'll give one of my bigger courses, say my natural light course or something like that, to this one from John Sheringham. Cool shot. And then the winner I think I'm going to give is to this one from David Putzia. I think that's a really cool shot, nicely put together, the line, everything about it I think just works really, really well. I think that's a class shot. So again, opinions are like, you know what they're like. Everyone has one. So, take it with a grain of salt. No offense to everyone else. This was meant, and still I want this to be the vibe of the weekly show, is more of a sharing and getting inspiration from each other and giving some feedback and having a drink rather than an out-and-out competition. But when I got the opportunity to give a great prize, I thought, let's do it. So let's jump back in and take a look at the questions that we have here. I'm glad to hear that there was some people who agreed with that. If anyone is interested in whiskey, try this guy out. This is Nikka Coffee Grain, but it's not coffee as in, coffee, the caffeinated drink. Coffee was a type of still, and I really, really like this one. It's from Nikka in Japan. All right, so very cool. If anyone has questions, send them in. According to the email I caught a glance of, I have 10 minutes until my dinner's going to arrive, so I'm happy to stay in and chat a little bit longer. Let me just throw back on screen. To enter next week, check the details at mattgranger.com/live. To check out all of the inspirational materials and whatnot we have, including pay as you wish downloads, check out the photo community page. My newest course, which is the one I mentioned that one of our runners up will get, is the Natural Light course. And big thanks to our, let me get the right link, to our sponsors for this week, the course from Philip Bloom. It's genuinely great. I do know the people involved, but it was just great. I had my videographer and editor check it out before we went to Vegas. It was so useful as a photographer trying to get better and better at mastering moving image and sound and how to storytell in video rather than a single or series of still images. It's really fantastic. So check it out. There's also a link to that over at the live page as well. They're early. So the cats are running, my wife is running, that's my dinner arriving. Go for it, sweetheart. If you have any last question, just let me know, because we always reheat the takeaway anyway, just in case at these times. To those of you who are saying you've sent in pictures, I'm sorry, I can't be downloading them and adding them and putting them in the stream now. I'll check them out for myself later, but for everyone else, submit your next shots over the weekend. I'll get back to you with what the theme and the requirements are at the live page at the website. Jay Sheringham, what am I doing to keep busy artistically during the lockdown? I was 4 hours now. 4 hours ago, I was live on the KEH page at Instagram, and we had a half-hour discussion specifically about this topic, so check them out. CAC2244, gorgeous background and beautiful table. Thank you. Two of my favorite things in the studio. I got the table done at Timber Forge Woodworks with Louie and the gang down in Jersey. The background is from Gravity Backdrops, and they're hand painted and they ship worldwide. I love them both. Thank you. Any other questions? So I guess, next live is going to be, let's do the next one on, let me just quickly check my calendar. I'm quite happy that I still need to check my calendar in these times when so much has been cancelled. So we'll do Monday, and I will schedule it, and again, it will be listed at the live page. That'll be a general Q&A and a reminder about what our theme is and that kind of thing. And then again on Friday, we'll do another live image review and giving away more prizes. Another one asking, what keyboard am I using? This is just the keyboard that comes with the Cheese Grater Mac Pro, but I use a skin on it, a silicone skin. I got into these when I was using the MacBook Pro, that if you got dust in it, it would sometimes jam up. But three purposes. One, then it makes it waterproof and dustproof so you don't get crap falling into your keyboard. But two, they're all shortcuts. So this is shortcuts for Photoshop, and it will tell you what each different key does. I can give you a link in the chat for that as well. Let me just grab that up. Keyboard Covers is the brand. I've been using them for years, and they're a really cool company. And they have most keyboards. So let's just take a cheeky little look here. Here we go. You can check them out. They have all kinds of different software and different keyboards available that you can cover with the skin here, including laptop ones. It doesn't need to be standalone ones like this. So David Putzia, great shot. If you wouldn't mind, tell us in the conversation where you took this. Was it in a junkyard? The Catalina, it's a really cool car. As further commendation for you, I think the depth of field you have in this is perfect. If you just shot this at f1.2, it wouldn't be as good. We want to see the rust on the car. We want to see the brand, the Catalina. We want to see the detail through her outfit, all of her face detail, and then have it softening out in the background. You know, you don't need to shoot everything at its widest possible aperture. I really like that one. Someone saying the link didn't work. It really should. Ah. Okay, so maybe try this one. Live. Let me see. Huh. Okay, that sucks. So I should update that. Try this one. If you have any more questions, let me know. Kate is just wonderfully getting dinner sorted out. Boom. Try this one, guys. So from here you can check out their whole range. I think I shared a Lightroom one. David Putzia, I'm sorry the video audio keeps crashing. We're really lucky here with a wired connection. I'm still getting 900 meg up and down. But yeah, if you're having it crash, maybe restart your browser and set it down to 720 or 1080. All right, I think that might be about it. Last couple of questions before we go. Hey Loki, did you want to come say hi? This will sometimes work. You guys have cats? Loki goes mental for paper balls. She's about to attack it. It's quite funny. They're our two cats are completely different. What one likes, the other one hates or is disinterested in, and what one's scared of, the other one sleeps through. It's kind of funny. All right, so I can see the room is starting to thin out. If no one else has any questions, I might call it a day there. Thank you all for joining us for this. It's a weird dynamic for me to be sitting here looking at a bunch of screens and lights and a camera without, direct personal feedback, but it's really nice to have the community come together like this. I hope you've enjoyed it. And please, for everyone who entered, I looked at every shot that I had that qualified. Don't think of this as any kind of a slap in the face. It's a personal taste, and, my opinion is just my opinion. It's not necessarily right, So I really appreciate you all taking the step to share your work. It's a generous thing to put it up for public review and sharing. And even if there was one or two in there that I didn't really like, there will be other people in the audience who were planning a shoot like that or had done a shoot like that, who've learned something inspirational or a different way that they could have done something, or a different outfit they could have tried, or whatever. All of this, it's generous and it's a way of sharing. So I really appreciate that. I should also thank Scott and MZ and Philip for giving away the course for this week's prize. That's really cool. It is a great course. And I think that might be about it. Someone's saying, cheers, Aussie ears. Any tips to be less shy of photography of people? Oof, that's a great question. I think it's too much to get into now, but join us back on Monday and I'll be happy to chat that through with you. Brad, thank you for stopping in. Thank you, everyone else. If there's no other questions, then let me know on Instagram or Facebook, that kind of thing. But I think at 2 hours and 9 minutes, that's just about time to put a pin in this. Thank you guys. Have a great weekend, and It's difficult times, but sincerely, I wish you all the best. Do what you can, take responsibility for your own actions and your immediate family. And if we all do that collectively, we can make a big difference on how we tackle this. So thank you, love you, take care, see you. Ending live stream. I'm quite a good singer.